The following content is not meant for children. Hello, and welcome everyone. I am Maester Aelix, and this is Aelix's Stellaris Empires. And today we're going to look at something very special because this empire was the first empire I was able to win the game with, and that of course puts them in a very special place in my heart. And I'll be more than happy to show you how I made these guys and what makes them so special. So, let's start at the beginning, shall we? First things first, I chose the mammalian species because at the time I was actually making things based on kind of like a grid. So like, okay, I need one of each race from one of the planets and da-da-da. So, they just kind of ended up winning the luck of the draw as mammalian. And then I ended up picking the small foxes because they are a bit diminutive, and being a fox are somewhat cute, but the portrait also displays enough seriousness to let me take them seriously. And as you see here, we are from an orbital habitat, so the diminutive size helps make sense on how we can live on this artificial habitat and, you know, get along. So that's a good start. I like this, and if anyone were to recreate this, I would recommend, well, just about any of them, but of course the foxes, because that's how I made them, and that's in my mind how they should be. Next up was the name. Now, for anyone familiar with Dragon Ball Z Abridged by Team 4-Star, if you note well, then you kind of already caught the joke that they are the Clorefore, and they will try to chlorify you out of all your money. And yes, if Frieza was in Stellaris, Frieza would definitely womp people. So we are the Clorefore. The plural for that is the Clorefores, and their adjective to chlorf. So they will chlorify you out of all your money. And if you hadn't caught it earlier, they are a megacorp, so that makes all the more sense that they are money grubbing. On to the names list. Now, this is one of those times where things just kind of fell into place, and I love Mammalian 4 for this. As someone who works for a large corporation, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of like an artifact, like, oh hey, why does this form have these 3 letters at the end of the title where no other form does? Oh, that's a leftover from like 7 years ago when we tried to reorganize the forms. They just never turned that one back. It's like, I see. With Mammalian 4, you get like names like Noga, daughter of Dak, Sagu, scion of Ureg, Derek, son of Velak, and all sorts of things. So this feels very artifacty and kind of left over, and it's great. It really is. And as you go through and get some of the more megacorporate specific things, seeing the sons, daughters, scions, and such, it really tickles me. So if anyone were to recreate this on their own, I would kind of insist they use Mammalian 4. But, it's your game. You play, you have fun. But, man, it just makes the game that just tiny bit sweeter. Alright, and you have Clorefore Consumer Products, CCP. Excellent. On to traits. Now, by choosing the origin that puts us on an orbital habitat, it gives us Void Dweller, so you don't need to select that. The others I picked were Ingenious, getting us more energy credits, because money. Thrifty, because money. Natural Engineers, because we live on artificial habitats, we kind of need to know how to make more. Plus, that helps you get to Mega Engineering faster, and so Megacorp, Mega Engineering, it kind of all works. And with the trade value and energy credits being so boosted, you can really just buy enough materials to build whatever you need when you need it. Now, being part of an orbital habitat, the origin kind of restricts us to that, so I gave us non-adaptive because it's basically 2 free points in this particular build, which is great. And then sedentary, pop growth from immigration minus 15%, and resettlement cost plus 25%. Basically, they don't move around, and being that you live on habitats, yeah, I can see why. Plus, this helps a little bit in your endgame, keeping the population from booming. because, you don't want pop growth from immigration that much, really, in this particular build. I'll explain why when we get down to the appropriate spot. So next, homeworld, names and class. Well, you don't get to pick a class because our homeworld is a orbital habitat. So I named it the Central Hub. I probably could have come up with main headquarters or whatever, but I like Central Hub. It fits well, and it also let me know which of the 3 starting habitats was the one I named. I named the star Photonus because I'm just that kind of nerd. I really am. Alright. City appearance. Being that this is mammalian race, I went the mammalian city, which is it's the second most blocky. It's not the blockness that is the reptilians, but it's, the mammalian one is quite square and blocky, and I like it. It works out pretty darn good. And of course, we went to the origin of Void Dwellers. This civilization has made its home in the space for as long as it has maintained records. Life in a typical planetary environment is anathema to them, and they live in 3 orbital habitats that were only recently united. And as far back as records go, basically, they live on 3 habitats and they don't have records from before they were a megacorp. Oh well. So start with 3 orbital habitats and the technology to build more, and these 3 orbital habitats are great because each one has something that makes it special, so you can already start making specialized habitats from the start. And since you can build more, there is no system you cannot inhabit in some way, other than ones that just have no materials. But the great thing is if you build a habitat on something that gives resources, you can get that resource as a special building. So, science, minerals, etc. It's great. It's an excellent start. Members of your species thrive on habitats and produce 15% more there. And that is another key awesomeness. Severe habitability and growth penalties on all normal planets. Basically, just don't inhabit planets other than I found that the relic worlds are like 70% habitability, and it makes sense. It's a relic world. There's, a lot of habitat-like stuff there, and I'm sure if you turn it into an Ecumenopolis, it'll be amazing. And hydroponics have +1 farmer jobs. So important because you don't have a planet producing food. You have to make buildings to produce food. So there's that. Yeah. Food is really important, but it cannot be so important that you have an agrarian ideal about it, because it's hard to be an agrarian in space. Like space, not planet space. You know what I mean. Anyway, Clorefore consumer products, government, and ethics. Well, as a government, we went with Xenophile because we like having friends, I mean business partners, I mean customers. And this increases our trade value by 10%, which is awesome, and it gives us an extra available envoy, which is even better. So you got 1 envoy working with the galactic community, getting our standing up, and another in our next future market. And then we have fanatic pacifists, because I mostly want it for the Empire sprawl being down by 30%. But the 10% stability is also really nice. Plus, people generally like pacifists. Generally. Now, Empire sprawl from Pops being down by 30% is really important because as a megacorp, Empire sprawl penalty is 50%. So you really have to watch your Empire sprawl on this, and having things that reduce your sprawl are really good. So we can, and with 3 habitats to start, instead of 1 population growing, we have 3 populations growing. So that extra 30%, so helpful. And of course, administrative capacity being up by 20%, that makes it so we don't hit that sprawl cap too soon. Now that we are indeed a consumer products line and we want to have friends, I of course went with franchising. Subject power relations penalty between our empires is down by 1/3, which means if we're more powerful than someone, or they're more powerful than us, it matters 1/3 less, which is great. Lets us put more branch offices out, and empire sprawl from branch offices is reduced by 25%. Again, that sprawl being so important, and branch offices are an amazing mechanic for megacorps, because it basically lets you make friends and get more stuff. You can make branch offices that produce science or amenities, minerals, alloys, whatever you need, and you just hand them out. And the species you franchise with, they get benefits too. So there's no reason not to. And that being said, money being good, free traders. Trade value up by an additional 10%, which, does stack with the Xenophile, which is excellent. And branch office value up by 10%. So, yeah, we went whole hog on branch offices, and it was just amazing to see, because we were getting so much stuff from other empires that I could keep my, my own race relatively small to keep that empire sprawl penalty down, which, really does help with the doing of science. That just turned, this combination just worked out so good. Though, you do have to be careful, because there is a lot of micromanagement. This is not the easiest race to play. So, based on our government, they assigned us the Slick Corporation, and I am so glad they did.
Our goal is to create a galactic system that maximizes innovative self-actualization and redefines future-proof solutions for every stage of a customer's life. Megacorp, we're with you every step of the way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That is some quality stuff. And there's more things like that throughout the gameplay, and it works out great. And then you have that, dichotomy of, like, Saul, son of Dwar. Just, Empire name, we are the Clorefore Consumer Products, because Mega Corporation. And the adjective is Clorforean, because why not? It's fun. And our flag. Now, I put some thought into this flag, but not as much as I did on my peacocks, which, this is little four-fingered hands reaching out and helping one another, but it's also a nice, solid, square-looking thing, and as you put it on the map and zoom out and you see just that square, it stands out. It really does. I like it. And as for the this, it's like we're orbital habitats. Between circular things, there is us. And I decided, because there are foxes, a little bit of orange and brown would not do us bad. So I didn't want, like, the black of space, so I went, brown. And then you got your foxy orange on the top and bottom. And it really does turn out really beautiful, especially on your ships. And mammalian ships are, again, blocky, but not the most blockiest. They do have this lovely utilitarian feel, kind of like space trucks. And it works great. I like it. And then to the ruler. I went with a male ruler because of a good joke, that being the name Elon, son of Musk. Of course, the leader of a megacorp. Ha ha ha. Title CEO. I went with clothing style 5 because it matched the room 18. Room 18, to me, is exceptionally opulent, which works out perfect for the CEO of a megacorp. A multi-habitat spanning galactic entity megacorp. So yeah, opulence is a thing, and the clothing matches, and I didn't feel the need to vary their color, so there we go. That is the Clorefore Consumer Products, a trade league megacorp focusing on franchising, free trading, xenophiles, and pacifism. All to make money, and science. And you know what? This was really fun to play, and again, this was the first race I used that actually let me beat the game. Mostly because I was able to buy whatever I need and make friends with everyone. It was so good. And if anyone wants to try this out, I wish you the best of luck. Do be careful, you have to micromanage, especially at the beginning. And have fun with that. And with that being said, thank you all for joining me. I really hope you're enjoying this series. If you do, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I shall see you all next time.